Brad, first of all, what do you make of Kent in your few weeks in this country?
Kent is a beautiful country, beautiful area, and the 2 weeks has been overwhelming, busy, passionate, exciting, more than I had hoped for, absolutely.
People stopping you in the street and asking you about your plans here?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Mostly positive. Thank you for coming. We love our club. Thanks for giving our club back. Can you tell me what striker we're going to sign and when? But absolutely very, very friendly, just like you'd expect with these fans. I mean, they want to be proud of their club. They want to perform on the pitch. And sort of the hope is just something that's tremendous, and hopefully we can continue to give it.
I'll ask both of you now. Paul, what's your role now?
My role is COO here. Broadly, I'm running everything about the club other than the football side of the business, which we've obviously we've appointed Kenny and Andy Hess in that regard. So I'm running all the other aspects of the club.
So how does that change to what you were doing in the first half of the season?
Well, in the first half, I came in as co-chairman. I was very much brought in to help Paul out and to help facilitate this deal. So yeah, it's a slight change, but I probably have more to do on the football side of things. It was just me and Neil back then, but I think having Andy and Kenny in place now, they know far more about League Two and League One football than I do. So it's a good move.
How have you noticed the place has changed since Brad's arrival?
Oh, just the whole buzz around the place. It's just, I can only talk personally. When my alarm goes off in the morning, I jump out of bed now to come into work. And there's a whole buzz around. There's a buzz from the fans. There's a buzz from the staff. I just think everybody feels it's a new beginning for the club, and everybody's very, very excited about it.
Brad, Paul Scally's role now, he's a director, is he?
Yeah, so Paul Scally is a minority owner, a director, and also really an asset. He knows more about English football and more people in English football. So the club should and is using him as that asset, and he's very much instrumental in the football side.
And just finally from me, tell me the very first contact you had, the very first stage in this whole takeover.
So it was a Zoom call. I was in Florida, and I actually cold called Paul. We had a mutual contact who sort of said, take this guy's call, and literally within 15 minutes he warmly received my call, and we scheduled a Zoom. And then I sort of tried to tell him that I know I'm an American, but I actually respect and know English football. And so it actually went very, very well, and it sort of went from there.
When do you think that was?
That was probably fall?
Yeah, sort of end of September, October time.
Yeah.
And then if I remember, following that, Brad and I then had a call after one of the home matches, didn't we?
Yeah.
I think probably one of our home defeats, really, when I was telling Brad about how the potential of the club was and stuff, and we all got on well. We were, it'd be fair to say, we were talking to a number of investors at the time, and Paul and I did, an awful lot of, due diligence, really. Because in terms of Paul Scally, Paul was very, very clear that anybody who was going to get involved with the club was going to be the right fit for Gillingham Football Club, and it was during that process it became very, very clear to Paul and myself that Brad and Shannon were entirely the right fit for this football club, and really, really pleased to have them involved.
Oh, so Paul Scally's not here, but do you know how long he intends to be involved in the football club? Or is
as long
until he decides otherwise?
Yeah, as long as he says otherwise, as long as his passion is still there, I think he's sort of has a bit of a lighter foot, and I think he's sort of thrilled with what he gets to focus on.
Okay, that's fine for me. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Matt. Who's up next?
Kit Bradshaw from ITV News Meridian. Brad, I just wondered, there's those great pictures of you walking out with your family onto the pitch and soaking up the applause. There was American flags in the crowd. You were shaking hands with supporters. What was that moment like?
It was tremendous, overwhelming, more than you'd expect. The thing that I like to say, though, is that it was tremendous not from our family perspective. Yes, it was, but it was more looking out and seeing the fan base. That was what was tremendous, and it sort of epitomized what this club is about, what it can be about. Chanting and flags and just wanting to show pride in their team, and it made us and our family want to perform even better for the fans.
And Paul, I know there's a fan forum later in the week, but have you picked up the sort of a change in fan feeling and a positivity?
Oh, definitely. I mean, my inbox it's full actually. I was looking this morning. It's full with companies, people who want to get involved with the club again. Everybody wants to be involved with success, and I think it's absolutely credit to Brad and Shannon that, considering we're still bottom of League Two, hopefully for not much longer, that we are getting this actual interest from the local business community and the fans. There's just a real good feeling of positivity around, and the win on Saturday and that vital 6-pointer for us at home has only helped.
And Brad, you talked about the sort of negotiations that were going on behind the scenes, those phone calls, Zoom calls, etc. from Florida. You must have taken lots of advice from people in English football and your friends and business partners. Did you have people saying, don't do this, this is not a good idea?
Yeah, a lot of people said that. Investment bankers or investment banking friends saying, there's better way to get a return on your investment. 2/3 of English football clubs are insoluble. Are you crazy? Do you even know anything about football? And by the way, isn't it called soccer? But, I would say, look, 1/3 of football clubs are soluble. This club is unique in its catchment area, and it's 75,000 businesses and the only, club in Kent. And there's nothing like it. There's no business that I've ever experienced, or I think anyone can experience in the business of English football. So to me, it's worth the risk, and I think we'll be successful at it.
And you spoke in our interview about the percentage of time you plan to be in the UK, but regardless of where you are physically, how much of your time do you think will be taken up with sort of hands-on decisions about Gillingham over the coming months?
Yeah, I think it'll be more initially. The businesses that I'm affiliated with are sort of all done the same way, and we've had success, which is you get the right people running things, like Fish here, and our sales and our marketing and our conventions and our banquets, and you basically get out of the way. You give them the resources they need and the budgeting, and they pretty much do it for you. And so I think initially it'll be more to get that right. Andy and Kenny are a perfect example. And then I think they're way more skilled than I am at it.
And Paul, for this club, how significant is this change of ownership? How would you sum up the significance?
I think it's huge. I think it's absolutely huge. You've only just got to feel the passion people have got for Gillingham Football Club, and I think unfortunately that connection with the fans and the area and the community, it's sort of dwindled over the last few years. And I think now this is a fresh start. This is an absolute fresh start, and I think it's going to be huge for the football club, huge for the Medway towns, and huge for Kent in the longer term.
And Brad, finally from me, if I can. I noticed on my briefing sheet that you're a private pilot.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably used to doing a dynamic risk assessment and looking out on the horizon. I wonder, as you look on the horizon of your ownership here at Gillingham, what are the potential hazards, the potential turbulence that you see coming over the coming months and years?
Sure. Well, the first one won't be surprising, and it's sort of our laser focus, which is we have to stay in the English Football League. So, I mean, number one is there's basically a mountain that's 2,000 meters and we're flying 1,800 meters. So we got to get to 2,100 meters. That's literally the focus now. Almost everything else can wait, because once you get that right, then all the other sort of 50 or 100 things that are on the list that we've all talked about and planned, you can start to sort of more easily do. So it's sort of overwhelming to even speak of anything but that.
Okay. Thank you both.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Kit, James, Jamie.
Yeah. Paul, first of all, obviously it's the English Football League Community Action Week. Can you tell me a bit about what the club are doing for the community this week, if anything?
Well, I think our focus this week has been very much on is on the playing side of things. We're doing things with lots of local schools. We're doing lots of local schools, and interestingly, I had a meeting yesterday with some people from our academy. And we're going to be announcing pretty soon that we're going to be running a big youth tournament at our training ground with all the local schools. So we're all very excited about that. It's early stages of the planning.
And Brad, on the community, what are your hopes and aspirations for not Gillingham just as a club, but as a town and as a community as a whole?
Yeah, I mean, so I've said the football club is the community, and the community is a football club. They're literally interchangeable. So just on a macro sense, everything about the success of the club drives the community, the pride of the community, the pubs, the restaurants, everything. Specifically though, and as Paul said, the youth, our GFC school, women's sporting, and those kinds of things are sort of the initial things that we want to focus on and grow on, and just really become sort of a beacon in the community where there's just pride there, and then we can give back.
Are you hoping to build back that partnership with the women's team? Obviously I saw that you are a women's lacrosse coach, and you must have some passion for the women's sport as well, so are you trying to build that partnership back?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've made initial overtures to try to figure out how we do that. There's a bunch of different ways that can work. I would say regardless of how we do it, we absolutely support and will support women's sports. I mean, it's an obvious statement, but 50% of the community are women, 50%. So that kind of resources and focus and importance should be given to women's sports, and so we definitely want to figure out how we're going to do that, absolutely.
And just finally for you both, I guess, is this the point where you look back in the season and say this is the turning point, and now it's, the only way is actually up from here?
Well, interestingly, I had a coffee with Neil earlier this morning, and Neil said Saturday felt like the first day of the season again for us, and I think that's how we all view it. So literally the only way is up.